to study more than your peers for a similar assignment?
Yeah, I got to study a lot. Makes her study a lot. You know, it's so much easier now when they're younger. It's so, I mean, I can't tell you, it's so much easier because as the hierarchy in learning increases as they get older, it gets harder. So I want her to have those good habits, but she does study a lot. Like I said, she's in accelerated classes, so she really has to.
Have you had any situations where you've had to have your processor repaired, or has it ever been damaged?
Your processor?
Which one is the process?
The XNet something. Have you had it replaced?
Have I? Yes.
Lots of times. We have a swimming pool at our house, and one day Abbey decided and her dad decided they were going to go swimming. So they got their suits on and they open the door and Abbey runs outside. Woohoo! She gets to the pool and my husband realizes she has her implant on. And she leaps into the deep end with the processor on. And he jumps right behind her, picks her up. If you don't have a dry aid box, you need to get one of those because that's coming very handy at our house. It's a dry aid box. It's a little device that you put hearing aids in, your cochlear implants in. You have to take the batteries out, but it removes all the moisture out of their hearing devices and all the bacteria out, which is really good. So for times when, you know, they jump in the pool, although it didn't work that time, it had to be replaced. It drops in the toilet, you know, you get all the stuff, yes. In the fish tank, that comes in really handy. But yeah, she's had it replaced several times. But we've always had either the insurance or the warranty program, and they've replaced it for free. We've never had any out-of-pocket expenses.
So what kind of programs do they have to replace for like insurance? Is there specific insurance just for?
There is. With the company that we use, Cochlear company, that they manufacture her nucleus implant, her Freedom. They have a warranty program once you purchase it. It extends, I want to say 3 years. Is it 3 to 3 years, I think? And then every time you replace it, if you have to replace it, it comes with a new warranty. We just this past year had to purchase insurance through the Cochlear Corporation. That was the first time we've actually had to purchase it. Every time since then, it's been covered under warranty.
How much did it cost?
Oh, it was
it's a lot.
so expensive, and it killed us. But it killed us because a year prior to us purchasing the insurance, they had a deal on their insurance coverage. And when I say it's a deal, it was a deal. It was something like 5 years for $300, which was phenomenal. We snoozed and we losed, but we didn't do it because, you know, it's a gamble. You know, the processor costs this amount of money. You know, what if nothing happens, and you know, we could save that money when you're buying batteries, like we're buying batteries. You have to weigh those things out. What's more important? We should have bought that insurance because now I think we paid for 3 years. It was something like $1,100–1,200 now. And it could get more expensive depending on what you choose. That was just the basic. If anything happened to it, if it broke, they replaced it. But there's more things that you could add to and add to the expense, but we didn't do that.
Do you have a backup? Like, if you have to have it replaced, or is she without it until you can replace it?
She has her old body worn, which actually has her programs in it now, and it will work. But luckily, if something happens, we either contact Elizabeth or we contact Cochlear Corporation direct, and they will overnight something. So she's never really been without hearing, without her device working for probably, I mean, max I'm thinking 2 days if something occurred over the weekend.
And how does she communicate?
She reads lips like a rock star. She does. She is so good at reading lips, it's scary. I think that goes back to some auditory verbal training we had when she was little. But there are a lot of times that I don't know that she can't hear. She'll just carry on a conversation like she hears everything you say. And I have to, sometimes I'll catch, like if she pauses or I sense that she's kind of confused but not really saying anything, I'll say, "Can you hear me?" "What?" "No." I'm like, "Are you out of batteries? You know, what is it?" But she is great at reading lips.
That must be a gift, because even at 2 and 3, Josiah could, even the few words that he knew, everything he knew, he could read.
Yeah. I think, you know, when Abby was little, she probably thought everybody went around doing this, because I went around talking like this to her all the time. This is where the sound comes from. It means something. Pay attention. You know, this is how you form a B or an S or an M, and we practiced and practiced and practiced all the time. So she had no choice but to focus on everybody's lips, you know, because that's where the sound came from. And she did. She learned it at a very, very early age. And it's helpful, I think. I think it's helpful for them. Once she got a little more language, we did auditory verbal therapy where they cover their mouth. They want them to rely just on what they hear. And that helped her too. But early on, we did a lot of lip reading. And it helped.
Do you have trouble in a room with a lot of noise, people talking and trying to hear a specific sound?
Well, since I'm good at lip reading, whenever someone's talking to me, I look directly at their lips. If there's a lot of noise, I look at their lips and I know what they're saying by doing that. But it is hard hearing them, so I read lips.
Yeah. Her dances and things are probably difficult. Basketball games are probably really difficult, you know, because it's really, really, I don't know how she does it. I mean, I really don't know how she understands what's going on the basketball court. I played in high school and I played in college, and I heard perfectly well. And for her, they are in middle school, there's a band, there are 4,000 cheerleaders out there, and everybody's mama and daddy are screaming. And I don't know how she keeps up with what's going on, but she does.
Can you kind of describe to me, my daughter's 18 months, so when she has her hearing aids on and off, I can't really tell the difference. What's it like for you with them on, and I know it's probably difficult to describe, but that's what I'm never quite sure. What is she hearing with them on? What is she missing when they're off? And that's always been my question. And she's not old enough to obviously answer that for me.
Well, when I have them on, I sometimes I might miss things, but that's just in the process of having an implant. When I have them off, I miss more things, but I try to get everything as much as I can.
The lip reading.
Yeah, with the lip reading and all that stuff.
Because she's profoundly deaf, so without it, she doesn't hear anything. And it's funny, when she gets scared, she takes her implant off because she doesn't like to hear the noises. They scare her even more. So she'll take her implant off. A couple of nights ago, we were at my sister-in-law's house, and they have a new addition that they're building. And Abby went somewhere, I'm not sure where. She left the room, and we thought it would be really funny if we scooted back to the addition and hid from her. And so we're waiting, we're hiding. She's walking all around the house. She never once called out, "Mom."
I have my implant on, but
Okay, and after a while, she turns her implant off, and I see her, she's got my keys in her hand. And I realize I'm looking at the reflection of her coming down the hall in the window of the addition. And I see my keys, and I see my pepper spray being opened. And she's holding it, walking down the hall, and I'm like, "Abby, we're right here. Don't spray us." But she turns her implant off when she gets scared because she doesn't like to hear noises. And so I'm thinking we're about to get sprayed. We'll jump out on her. So I started slowly waving my hands in the doorway so she could see me. And she thought it was so funny. We were going to jump out and scare her, and it was all going to be it was going to be funny. And then when I saw this, and I realized she couldn't hear me because she had turned her implant off, I got really nervous. But she does do that. She turns it off when she's nervous.
I just wanted to kind of interrupt for a second because to answer your question, I don't know if all of you have heard this. It's a simulation of hearing loss. And it's a simulation of, and I know you all know audiograms as well as we do. This is a simulation of a hearing loss that's a mild to moderate loss that slips off in the high frequencies. But just so you know, it's a spelling test. And I'm just going to play the first 5 words so that you know what your child might be hearing without their hearing device. And you'll understand how important it is to have it on all day, all night until bedtime. So let me play just the first 5 words and imagine that you're in school and you're trying to take a spelling test. This is turned all the way up.
Here's the last test, a symptom of a mild, high-frequency hearing loss. Word number 1. Word number 2. Word number 3. Word number 4. Word number 5.
There's 5 more, but they don't get any easier. That's bath, pearl, sour, mouse, and learn. So just so you realize that you're missing all these high frequency sounds without the hearing device. But with this kind of a hearing loss and hearing aids, you'd be able to hear almost within normal limits. So it's so important for your child to be wearing that device all the time that their eyes are open.
And at 18 months, it's so hard to be able to tell what they can and can't hear, and you don't know what they're getting. But when they're 4, and you realize that you've kept it on them and they've retained all that information, I mean, eventually it's going to click, and they're going to start talking. Zoe had a lot of problems because she has progressive hearing loss. But, I mean, keep those hearing aids on her as much as you can. And if she's pulling them out, get the hats. So whatever you can do.
She's done anything.
Because it is hard to see what they can hear, what they can't hear, because they act the same at 18 months.
Yeah.
Because they're visual.
And you know, with Abbey, she got her hearing aids when she was about 9 or 10 months old. She passed her hearing screening in the hospital, and she got her hearing aids about the time, you know, everything's going in their mouths, and they, everybody told us that the hardest thing would be to keep those hearing aids on. Fortunately, I look back, as I was preparing to talk to y'all, I look back and see all these areas that I was blessed at so much. She was so blessed, and we didn't even know it at the time. She came home from the hospital with a huge headband on. She had no hair. I mean, she didn't have hair until she was 2. But she always wore headbands and with big bows on them. Or once she started getting a strand of hair, I put a bow in it, you know. So for her at 10 months old, I would assume she just thought it was something else on her head to wear, you know, just another fashion accessory or something. I don't know. But she really never pulled them out. We did not have issues with that. But we never let her know that she could pull them out. You know, I mean, it was never an option to pull them out and leave them out, you know. I don't think she probably realized she could take her implant off until she was 10, like a couple of years ago, because we wore it every waking